See ya.
There we go.
She might be muted though, so we have to, you know.
Hey guys.
Hi, Drew. No problem at all. I did the introduction without you. I hope you don't mind.
That's fine. Yeah, no problem.
Just to buy a little bit of time because there's 17 people waiting, so not a problem at all. So basically, as I said to everyone else on the call, I will just ask for your experiences currently. How you've got to the play you are now, and then we'll talk about sort of the development side of it, and then we'll go from there. So really, I think the first question I have is, when did you start playing and how did you, what got you into playing football?
I think I started fairly young. My brother played football, so I always used to kick around, part with him and stuff. And I got into my first team when I was 9 at Fulham. So I started at Fulham. I was there till I was about 15, and then I went to Chelsea, and then at Centre of Excellence, then got into the first team, and I've been there my whole career now.
Oh, so you've been there 10 seasons, haven't you?
Yeah, it might be like 12, maybe 12. Oh. A long time.
Yeah, it sounds like a long time for sure. So did you just love football at a young age? Was that just, was there any challenges for you growing up loving football as well?
No, not really. I think because my family, a footballing family, dad's a massive football fan and brother was into it as well. So it was always kind of in the family. So I kind of had the support from them to love the game and just carry it on from there, really.
I guess sometimes it's easy to sort of say about sort of girls' football and it not being developed as much, and I suppose there's always sometimes barriers maybe to playing, but I guess being in a sport family it was a bit easier for you.
Yeah, definitely. I know of course there were challenges being a girl playing football when I was younger. There wasn't a lot of teams around that there is now. Luckily there was Fulham at the time who were starting up our under-10s team and went for a trial there, and thankfully I got in. So I think it was gradually building up, and the likes of the Olympics and World Cups has only just helped grow the sport, really.
Yeah. So would you say now that maybe the sort of transition from girls football, would you say that we're in a better place than we were probably 10, 12, 13 years ago?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Or even probably 20 odd years ago, I suppose. I guess we're developing the girls' side a lot better, aren't we now?
Yeah, for sure. When I joined the first team, we wasn't even full-time. A lot of the older senior players in my team had other jobs. I was just coming out of school, really. So if that was the case now, if I was 16, 17, I'd probably get a pro contract and you're training every day. So yeah, definitely the last 20 years has changed, and it's exciting to see what the next 20 years can bring for the younger generation.
How difficult is that, having a job and trying to play for Chelsea? How difficult is that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to do it for a long period of time, but I know a lot of the older girls some of them were living up north as well, so they were working in the morning and then driving down an hour and a half to come to training for an hour and a half and then drive all the way home. So yeah, I'm guessing it must have been tough for them, and now it's just so much physically better for us because we can train every day and we can enhance our fitness ability and stuff like that.
Do you how do you get involved in any youth girls now? Are you getting, do you try and help coach, or are you trying to do something to help the growth of these girls football right now?
No, I don't coach personally. I've tried it when I was a bit younger. I didn't really enjoy it as much. But yeah, just with the younger girls in the team, just try to keep the head screwed on, make sure, if they need any help, they can always come and chat to us. And I think when I was younger, I always had the likes of Eni Aluko, Leon Sanderson that I could always talk to and stuff like that. And I think you need them senior players to be there for you. And yeah, it's good to see younger 16, 17-year-olds now playing in a full-time environment.
Yeah. So now, obviously, you're now training. It's full time right now. So now it's definitely full time. So, can you put into perspective for us what a full time week might look like for a girl playing professional?
Yeah, so it depends really how many games we have a week. So if we have one game a week, we normally play on a Sunday. We're recovering on the Monday, or if the players that didn't play, they'll have a training session. Then we're normally off Tuesday, and then from Wednesday we start the new week. So we'll be preparing for the next game Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we're training again Sunday. But now when we have 3 games a week, we'll probably play on a Sunday, recover on a Monday, in on a Tuesday, game Wednesday, recover again Thursday. Then we'd be off on a Friday. Sometimes it really varies and depending on what the manager wants. And that's been pretty much our life, forget everyone at Chelsea's life for the last 5-6 months, having games every 3 days. So it's been pretty hectic, but challenging as well. So it's good.
You've been playing through the whole time, haven't you? You've been playing a lot of games
through pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we when it first happened, the season stopped, and then the league got awarded on points per game system. Not every league did it, sorry, but most did it. And then we came back in pre-season, and then throughout this whole year we've had no fans, and a lot of the girls not been able to go home to see their families, and yeah, it's been really tough for a lot of them.
Sounds it. It definitely sounds it. So have you, so in terms of signing for Chelsea then, did you go through the youth system as well, right?
Yes. So I came to Chelsea when I was 15, so I had one more year of youth at Centre of Excellence, and then it went on to reserves and first team.
Wow, so it kind of went quick for you in some ways. And where were Chelsea playing league-wise when you first joined?
They're still in the top division.
So they've always been in the top division?
Yeah, always been in the top division.
How difficult is it to be at that level for that long? How challenging is that to be at the highest level in England for the women's game, but consistently for 12 years? And how difficult is that?
Yeah, so when I first went into the first team, we was near the bottom of the table, to be honest. We wasn't one of the better teams in the league. Arsenal and Everton, I think at the time, were some of the main teams. And when our current manager came in, she made a lot of changes, got a lot of backing from the men's side, and really pushed our game on. And yeah, the last 6-7 years, it's always been about winning for us, making sure we're competing on all fronts every season. So yeah, of course, it's mentally challenging, but I mean, this is what you get in the sport to do, to win titles, to be a champion, and you got to find that extra bit of resilience really to keep going every year.
And how many coaches have you gone through at the professional level?
So I've only had two managers. So
which is Emma now, and then who was before that?
Matthew Beard. So he just re-signed as manager as Liverpool Women's.
Wow. So in terms of coaches, then what, in your opinion, having played at the highest level now in women's football in England, would you say what attributes and qualities do these coaches need at the highest level? And it'd be interesting to hear the differences between being coached by a male and a female as well in the women's game. It'd be interesting to hear some differences if there is any. Maybe there's not.
To be honest, I think I was so young when I had Beardy as my first coach, so I can't really remember the differences between a male and a woman now. But just being with Emma for the last 8 years, I think she's always credited herself on being honest and having an open door. So if you ever needed to question something, or why you're not playing, or what do I need to do better, she always said that you can go and speak to her whenever. And I know a few managers don't have that. So I think that's helped a lot of us in our team, because the competition our team is a really stacked squad of international players. So a lot of players that should be playing every week don't play every week. So it's always important to have that kind of relationship with your manager. We can have a conversation.
Yeah, I suppose you need that though as a player, right? You need to be supported in that way. And I guess the squad's quite big now. I was browsing through the lineups last night, and I saw that you had a lot of players on the bench. And I'm going to assume that there was players that didn't even make the bench. Am I right? Or did
no, we don't have any. We don't have any of that though.
So that was it, yeah.
Yeah, we used to have a couple of players that didn't make the bench.
20 or 21, wasn't it?
I think I think it was 21 maybe squad. So we had a couple youngsters. I think there was that have been with us throughout the season. So sometimes players don't make the bench, but there might be youngsters, and a player left us earlier on in the season. And so, but when she was here, there was always one player that was missing out. So yeah, that's tough. But you need a big squad to compete on in every competition. And I think that's why we did so well this year, unfortunately, after that terrible loss yesterday.
Yeah, I was gutted, to be honest. I was completely gutted when I saw it, because I thought, oh my God, no way. I mean, Barcelona are very good, by the looks of it. And obviously getting to the final is an outstanding achievement regardless. It has been, probably hard to accept right now, but it definitely is. So it must have been difficult to take. I'm going to, there's a couple of questions that I got directly sent to me. So I'm just going to touch upon some of these questions now. So I've got one that says, how different are the facilities on offer now in comparison to when you first hit the first team lineup? So how's the facilities changed?
Oh, massively. When I first started, we trained on the Astro pitch in Cobham, and we trained there 6:30 to 8 o'clock just on a Tuesday and a Thursday night. And literally not 6:30, sorry, from about 8 to 9:30. But as soon as those lights went out, it was training session done. And I think it's just weird to think about it now, because now we have our own building, we have our own changing rooms, we have our own 2 allocated pitches just for us. So it's just a completely different world to think that's how we used to live, But like I said, times have changed, and I'm sure in the next 10 years we'll have 3 or 4 pitches allocated just to us, an even bigger building, even more facilities that'll be even better.
How much of a difference is that, though? Going to a pitch and having 90 minutes, lights go out, and that's the end of it. To now, where you're able to probably do analysis, probably use gym and all this sort of stuff. It probably makes a huge difference, and obviously is part of the journey of you getting to the European final as well, I suppose. Having those facilities. Without those facilities, you can't get there. Definitely.
Yeah, to compete with the best teams in the world, you have to have the best surroundings, and Emma's brought in a lot of staff to make sure that we are competing on all fronts, by having nutritionists, by having 3 or 4 physios, by having a doctor every day. Some teams don't even have a doctor every day. So just little small details like that. So we wanted to compete with the best teams in the world, and we have to have everything to be able to do that. And we're close to being the best in the world.
That's just that must be unbelievable to be part of, definitely. And this year you won the league.
Yeah.
Well, that must be like unbelievable achievement as well. It really is. To be the best in England is just it's definitely something to be the second best in Europe in that respect is huge accomplishment. Probably something that you probably didn't consider 12 years ago, right? You wouldn't have thought you'd be sitting there and going, I've just played I'm being in the Champions League final. You probably wouldn't have considered that 12 years ago. No,
I think it's, of course, so when you're younger, it's every dream of what you want to do when you're a footballer. But to win 4 league titles now and to win 10 trophies with this club it's been huge for me. And I think sometimes I do think of achievements I have, but I know I've still got more to give, and I think that last hurdle of winning the Champions League is it. So yeah, we've been on such a journey. We've had such a great season, and even though we lost yesterday, we can't forget about the amazing season that we've had. You know, we've won 3 titles and we've had an amazing campaign. So yeah, we're really proud of each other.
Yeah, as you just said, you know, you've got to look at the positives, and by the looks of it, there's loads. So remind me of your position again.
Centre mid.
You've always been a centre midfielder, or you've been?
Yeah, I've always been centre mid. Yeah.
So you know what attributes do you sort of find yourself, you know, base yourself off now as a player in centre midfielder? What's important?
Yeah, I think I've always been very composed on the ball. I like to credit myself on that, and I like to play short passes, and I'm quite strong in the tackle. So yeah, I think I like my patience about my game. I like to slow it down or quicken it up whenever I can in the middle of the park, and just keeping the ball really is always a thing that like midfielders like to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Range of passing, I suppose, as well. You know, all these things really matter as a centre midfielder. So you haven't done any other position, or you've just always been a centre midfielder? Is that just what you found yourself?
No, I think a few years ago I played false 9 a couple times. Wasn't a massive fan of that, but I mean, we won a title in that season, so it was great. So
still winning games anyway, so it doesn't matter.
yeah, exactly.
What do you know? Your unity as a group now must be, you know, obviously yesterday was devastating, but in terms of the whole campaign, though, your whole unity must be so collective, and you know, togetherness as a group.
Yeah, we're like a family. A lot of us have been together for 5, 6 seasons, some 7. So we've got great friendships there. We've
How
lost.
important is that for the younger players as well coming in?
Yeah, definitely.
Some of the older ones that have been there, established almost a culture, and the younger players are wanting to get involved in that culture, definitely.
Yeah, I think when they come in, they can just see that we're just a good group, and sometimes we can be harsh on them, but sometimes it's for the best, you know. And I think they appreciate that they can come and speak to us whenever they're needed, and they're well a part of the group. You know, sometimes in teams, youngsters are kind of just pushed to the side, and they've helped us massively this year, especially in training when you need numbers to do 11v11s, and a lot of them have made their first appearances. Some have scored goals, so yeah, they should be really proud of the progress and being a part of this team this season.
Have you been lucky with injuries as a player, or have you always sort of had injuries?
I've been okay until this year. This season, I was out for 3 months at the beginning. I had a quad injury, which was a bit frustrating. I think during the lockdown, I think I just overtrained because I was just a bit worried about coming back in after having 3 months off. I think I just did a bit too much, and it caught up with me in pre-season. And yeah, I was out for 3 months, so that was gutting. That was a tough time. But apart from that, I've been quite lucky with injuries. Tried to look after my body as much as possible, and you know, sometimes you can get injured, but I think muscle injuries are always frustrating because I think sometimes you can prevent them.
Someone was asking, someone sent me a message as well saying, what strategies would you recommend for injury prevention when there are loads of games in a short time span? So any strategies for preventing injuries?
Well, at Chelsea, it's a very much of a periodization club, so it's really on how the player feels. And you know, sometimes players don't train if they're feeling tired. That's another thing managers great with. If you're feeling like you're on the verge of burning out, she'll maybe deload the session. You might only do it 50%. I always recommend just recovery is like the ultimate key. You know, I do yoga. We do a lot of stretching and a lot of yoga at Chelsea as well, so I can always count on that.
Just just following up on that, someone just asked about you and Fran have both come back really strong from injury. So how much of a role does Emma play in that recovery?
Yeah, like I was saying before, she recruited best physios in the world. The hours that they put in, we can't be thankful enough for them because they do so much for us. And when you're injured, sorry, you're in every day. I think you get less time off than the girls that are not injured. So it just shows how much the importance they put in getting the players back on the pitch. Because that's the most important thing.
Right, absolutely. Just going through, see if there's questions. Someone was asking if you've played against any Asian players before.
Against any Asian players?
Yeah.
Trying to think. Well, I play with Ji So Young for a number of years, and she just came to the league this season. I played against her in the Champions League as well, and she was amazing. So a couple, but I think now that the league's so strong, loads of different nationalities and loads of world-class players are coming to the league. So it's amazing that can happen. You can experience that.
So how many nationalities are covered in Chelsea right now? Is it widespread?
Wow. Yes, we have must be about 8. I think maybe 8, maybe 9. There's a lot of we've got a lot of captains.
At the start, was this an English-based team?
Yeah, definitely more English-based. But like I said, because the league is so good now, we have like a lot of American girls come over. We have people from Australia, like Sam. We have people from Denmark, from Sweden. We have so many different nationalities come over because this is, for me, it's the best league to play in.
Must be quite rewarding, I think, playing with so many different nationalities as well, because you could learn so much more, I think, about culture, but not only culture, you could learn different things from different players. I always find that somebody, when you're together as a team, everyone's got something to give. That's what I'm trying to say. So everyone's contributing something to the group. So I suppose covering a wider spread of players must be good for the group, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said about culture, you learn what they've been taught growing up at football. I know English football is very much different to Korean football, and it can be very much different to Swedish or Danish football. So I think that's good to have that kind of balance in the team, and you do pick up certain things in your game that you probably wouldn't have learned if you would have played with the same English people throughout your whole career. So yes, it's really rewarding in that aspect.
Going into professional football, then was it then a case of this is what I want to do and that's it? Were you fixed upon being a professional footballer once you got in? Was that then the end goal was to sustain it?
Yeah, I think I always wanted to play football when I was younger, definitely. Obviously, when I was my age coming into maybe 16, there wasn't loads of first team opportunities. That's actually one of the reasons why I moved to Chelsea, because when I was at Fulham, they didn't have a first team women's team, so I had to go and carry that on. Obviously the money and stuff like that wasn't where it is at now. You could have a career, but you did have to have another job. So it is nice that now you can tell younger girls this is what you can actually do, and you can actually sustain a whole career from it. So yeah.
Because I only ask because someone was asking if you've ever felt unmotivated to keep going with football, or have you always been motivated? Because I know as a coach, sometimes even being younger, sort of one or two seasons where I've just been like, need a break. So I know that sometimes it can be, not when things don't go well, but sometimes you can get burnt out with it. So have you ever felt unmotivated from it?
I'd say it's so mentally challenging. I could come home 2-3 days in a row and be buzzing, and then the next day I'm literally, my confidence is shot. And it's like, even like yesterday, everyone's moods has been at the top, and then it can just change from one loss. And I just think that's football in general. I think that's sport in general. It's just so up and down, and you just have to have that positive mindset. And even when it's tough, you got to kind of get through them moments.
Absolutely. But then as you go, it links back to togetherness, isn't it? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
the group and that support mechanism. You know, without all those things, you can't function really. It's like you know, with relationships and stuff. You know, without a good relationship between the group, you know, everything else becomes impossible, in my opinion. So it's all formulated on positive relationships, definitely. It says when you look at the growth rate of the female game, do you feel like we have addressed barriers young females experience accessing the game, or is there more we feel we can do?
What do you mean by that?
Gemma, you are welcome to unmute if you want to expand on that.
Yeah, so I've been part of a Wildcat Centre now for 3 years. When we started, I was seeing like 4 or 5 girls at a weekend, and we started back up 3 weeks ago, and I had 30 girls turn up. So it's obviously a massive, massive growth. Do you feel like we've addressed the barriers that you experienced coming through, and girls of your time coming through experienced, or do you think we still got a long way to go?
Yeah, I think obviously there's still growth to be made. I think really having a lot more football on TV, especially women's sport, helps massively, especially stuff like Olympics, the Euros, having all of that and having those inspirations and then those role models makes younger girls feel like this is something that I can do, you know. And you've seen it with the Olympics in 2012, everything just changed in our league especially. So yeah, it's so important, and just to have coaches to go out and get more girls to go and play football. Like I've never seen many girls wanting to play football and have so much role models more now than when I was younger. There was only a few that I could think of, but there's such a wide span now, which is just so important for them.